guys, how's it going? Welcome to this week's recap video. I think we're just going to jump right into all the videos from last week because I don't have any other business to talk about. Do you?
No business.
You got any business?
Nope.
Okay, so the first video was an April garden tour, and it was a tour that I didn't particularly want to do.
Sponsored by Aaron.
Totally pushed by Aaron to do it. And I know that it's good to show gardens in all states, like the state of affairs at all times of the year, because that's what gardening is. It doesn't look amazing 100% of the time, and even when you think it looks 100%, there's still spots that aren't. Like,
sure.
You know, I don't know. So anyway, in the end, I'm always happy that we did it because you guys are so encouraging. All the comments that you leave, it's just really encouraging to me, especially right now when everything is just, well, the state in which you saw it. It can be a little bit overwhelming and hard at times to see things looking like that, even knowing that we're working towards something better. But anyway, I forgot to turn off my phone. How rude of me. Anyway, top comment was from Farina May. Aaron is totally right on insisting you do this garden tour. He chose all these comments. Well, this was the top comment, so I can't even blame you. Dang it. I don't care about drip lines showing or unmulched areas. I want to see all the things all the time. And I think that everybody else kind of shares your sentiment. Bethany asks, where does Aaron hide when he's flying the drone? He's sitting on the couch inside.
Yeah, usually.
So he's just like manning it from his phone, really, that kind of goes into whatever, like the drone thing.
The thing that goes in the thing, and just fly the thing.
Well, you can jump in at any point and explain yourself.
Before I would sit outside, but then I realized that, like, it'll get you. Like, the drone will catch you at some point. So
and
it's
you're
just
like all
easier.
hunched over your screen.
It's just easier just to be inside,
it.
sitting on the couch.
Yeah,
and
being comfy with a beverage next to you.
Well, and Benjamin loves to sit next to me and watch.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't have to worry about the power lines anymore. So when I'm flying around, I don't have to worry about hitting those power lines. That was nice. A worry of mine before.
Cindy said, I thought the spring containers were all going to be moved together somewhere to make a big display of spring flowers. That was kind of the thought in the beginning, and then I quickly realized that I went about it all wrong. So, not just left in front of the cold frame. I remember you talking about the other gardener who does that, and you wanted to make a display like one of his. I was looking forward to seeing you create one. So it's Klaus Dalby, and there's another one, Carolina, I'm not sure how you say her name, Carolina, I'm guessing. Both of those people on Instagram really inspire me with their groupings of containers. And what I didn't really, I never really studied it, and I should have. I was just taking it in as a complete look. And they do a lot of smaller containers, like mono containers. One thing, maybe several of the same thing planted in one smaller pot. And so it's a cluster of smaller containers all together, maybe up on risers so that it makes it look very dramatic and huge. And I went ahead and just planted bulbs in a ton of big containers. And it's really hard to cluster big containers together. Plus, I'm having a little bit of two things. Hard time figuring out where to put it. Because the only place I think it would work is right in front of our Versailles garden. Don't you think, Aaron? kind of where I did the fall display.
Mm-hmm.
On our property right now, we don't have an entrance that's not torn up. And so that is the only place it would make sense. So I still technically could, but my bulbs are coming up at random. I've got some that look really amazing right now, and then some that are so far behind. And then I have a few varieties that didn't come up at all. I had a different bulb supplier. I got them from a different place. I'm not going to throw shade at any company, but they're just a little bit.
But it wasn't color blends.
It was not color blends. Daffs. Those are the ones that are blooming in those pots. Those are the best bulbs ever. So, anyway, yeah. Next year is a new year. We've got a lot going on, and every time we take on another project, I'm like, why not? May as well. We may as well have a new baby and a toddler at the same time, and tackle all these projects. Maybe as well just add more.
Do you think that we could take some of those bulb pots and organize them, though, in a way where it might be pleasing?
Oh, yeah. But I feel right now, it's yellow cheerfulness.
We're past the...
Casada. Those all look really good right now, but I think my bulb timing, it's just... I also didn't plan to put pansies and violas and stuff. When our bulbs are blooming, it's almost at the point when we're getting ready to tear up our spring pots. The way we did it, because they were all outside. It was too cold for them to be forced a little bit early. Next time we should keep them somewhere a slight bit warmer, in the barn, so we could get them to bloom a little earlier. Otherwise, I'm getting ready to tear out spring stuff, in 2 weeks. And we're going to start planting summer stuff. So I think, I will really have to be organized with my timing, which is not my strong suit. like to figure out exactly when to have that amazing display.
So we'll still be able to enjoy what they look like.
Oh, yeah.
But maybe
Not
next year
together.
we can try again having them clustered together somewhere.
Yeah.
And maybe even put them where they're going to stay.
Maybe.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, I think what Klaus does is that he's got like different waves of stuff ready to come out. So I'm not sure if he's got, like, if he utilizes the same containers, because I know he saves a lot of his stuff over. I should pay attention. He's very willing, like, he's open with information and very helpful. And I know he's talked about it before. So I need to, like, dive back in and kind of figure out how he does that and organizes. Anyway, Mr. Travis said, have you ever considered getting rid of that corner of gravel behind the Gara garden? It looks like a perfect spot to expand the garden. Yes. In fact, we just talked about that. There's no point in having gravel around there. I'm not sure what the original design was.
Well, I think it was just the whole corner was gravel.
Yeah.
And then the previous owners just made the corner garden.
Which I love. I love that space.
Yeah, it's really pretty.
But
it also doesn't make any sense.
Well, except for it's kind of an island. I kind of like that. But it is a perfect opportunity to expand the garden out and create more of a block. Mm-hmm. Because you guys know, like when we take pictures of our East Side containers, we get our neighbor's house in the picture, which they have a beautiful house. So it's like not huge in position, but it's always nice to have a nice, beautiful green backdrop. And so it'd be a really good corner to do that in. Katharina said, how do you deal with weird spaces? For example, if one flower bed is partially full sun, partially full shade, do you put in shade-loving plants in the shady parts and sun-loving in the sunny parts? Yes. That's it. Yep, you just answered your own question. That's exactly what I do. It's fun to have those kinds of beds because it doesn't happen very often. On our west side, I feel like that's the best example in our garden of that because it's full sun in the afternoon because it's on the west side of the house. But we have that massive juniper that covers half of it. So half of it's pretty shaded and then half of it gets just beat with the sun. So I can do like lavender and roses in one spot. And then like a foot away, I can do hostas and heucheras and hellebores, those kinds of things, and they're super happy. So it's fun to be able to play around with those things because not often do you get to marry them together in the same flower bed. Ned said, I noticed you use a lot of pot risers or whatever they're called, or pot feet, some people call them. Is that for function or looks? Both. I really like the looks of them. In fact, I got a hold of some gorgeous ones from Unique Stone. Are they called the Gothic pot risers? Pot risers?
That sounds right. Something Gothic.
Yeah, they are gorgeous. I absolutely love them. They match the color of a lot of our concrete pots because a lot of those pots came from Unique Stone and I was able to order them in the same finish, so it looks like they're a cohesive look. And I do feel like it keeps the water rings off of our surfaces too. So if you can't put a saucer underneath or whatever, if you rise your pot up, it helps with drainage. Sometimes when your pot's sitting straight on a surface, especially if it's soil, it can plug up the drain hole. So if you've tucked a pot into a flower bed, sometimes they can get plugged really easily. And so if you rise it up and have like a little bit of air underneath that pot to where the water has a chance to drip down and go away, that's better sometimes for the stuff in the pot. And then it kind of helps just facilitate drainage on a surface. I still feel like water would pool under the feet though and make feet marks. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, there is that. You'll get marks either way, I think, if you have them on a solid surface. But I just mostly like how they look. Kelsey said, since you guys upload almost every day, what's your schedule like? Film a few videos a day and then have some downtime, or is it just filming every day? It depends on the week. Last week, we pretty much film every day but Sundays. Well, sometimes I film on Sundays.
Well, sometimes we don't film every day because we'll have like a windy day or a bad day.
Last week we took a whole day off, and not on purpose, but it was because it was so windy outside and it was cold. So we just had to we were forced to take that day off. We get other things done during those kinds of days. But you know, our days are so broken up and weird because we're so weather driven that sometimes we can get out. Like today, we've already filmed a video this morning. Mm-hmm. We got one done. It's for tomorrow. Like sometimes we're
day after tomorrow.
Day after tomorrow. Yep. Sometimes we are a little bit ahead. We never usually get more than, like, I would say the longest we get ahead in videos is like 5 days. And that's rare.
That's the max.
Yeah, that's rare. We like to just have a super quick turnaround because we don't want to like plant sweet peas and then have us show you the video 3 weeks from now. Mm-hmm. Because then the timing isn't right for everybody, and it's not right. You know, it's just not like true to what we're doing.
It feels inauthentic when you like make a bunch of videos and then post them weeks later or months later. Or...
I think that has been a little bit like with people we work with, companies, because I think companies think more, they plan out their year or two or whatever.
Well, they're selling products.
Well, yeah, and they like to know when things are coming out and when they like can post things, and we're like, nope. You're gonna, like, we just do things as we do it in the garden, and we feel like that's more helpful to people, and we don't want to do canned stuff. We just like to post things like very like fast turnaround.
Lately, though,
that really wasn't the question.
We haven't gotten more than like 2 days ahead for, I feel like, the last like 9 months. Well, since you got pregnant.
Yeah.
I don't think we've been more than about 2 days out.
Well, we started taking Sundays off, which was a huge lift for me, because we were posting every day for a year. Yeah. Was it a year? We posted every single day, except for holidays.
And we might get back to that once the kids grow up a little bit more. Like, imagine like in a year or two, I can see us getting back into that where we have, because like we never get an opportunity to film in the evenings, but before kids we filmed in the evenings all the time.
Because evenings are like prime time. Yeah. It's a little bit like, because the lighting's nice and all of that, and it's usually a little cooler out and that sort of thing, but we figured it out. Yeah. Yeah. Creative Gardening said, hi, why don't you show your back formal garden? I love that space. You guys must get that fountain repaired and do some small projects up there. I think the reason why we haven't showed that space very much is because we haven't really done much in that space. We've showed you the little bit we've done, like putting in the firelight hydrangeas. We did a little planting in the flower beds back there. But like Aaron wants to put in a rose garden.
Well, I want to tear the whole thing out.
He wants to tear the whole thing up.
So I come from a more of like an infrastructure side of things where the infrastructure is horrible back there. It is.
The water system's bad. The grass is
really
hard.
difficult to keep the grass looking nice, to keep the plants looking nice, because it's just not set up. And I don't want to spend a lot of money on redoing the infrastructure as it is, because I'm not happy with it. Like, back to that whole OCD thing, like if you look, there's the circle area, which is really pretty, and I think we could either fix the fountain or we could put a different fountain in there.
I think get a new one in there. Yeah.
Whichever we do, but the urns are placed a different distance away from the center.
You probably have a top down, don't you? We could show. Maybe
it's not drastic, but it's just enough to irk me. It's like when things like that are off, it's like, why? How come? Why didn't you just run a tape measure and do like...
Because we like to eyeball things, Aaron.
Well, you didn't put it in. Somebody else did.
No, I know, but I understand it.
But there's like a concrete...
Because I look at it and I'm like, oh, I think this is pretty.
There's a concrete pad under those urns. Like, somebody had to measure the wrong distance to pet.
You know what makes me think, though? Maybe at one time there was a deeper flower bed on one end. Like, maybe on the barn side that flower bed was deeper.
But there's still a different distance from the center.
Oh, they are?
Yeah.
Oh, well, then there's no excuse then for
There's no excuse. But that's just kind of the MO of this garden. Like, any formal area looks formal until you actually look at it.
It's not.
And then nothing is straight. Everything was eyeballed. Yeah. And that gets on my nerves. I would love to one day be able to buy the property behind it and incorporate whatever design we do all together. So there's that too. Yeah.
So we're just kind of like, we've got a lot going on anyway. I mean, you wanted to just tear it up this year. Earlier, you're like, why don't we just do that at the same time? Like, I don't think so.
I don't really want to tear it up, but I do want to start planting some things that will grow tall.
But that's hard if you're wanting to buy the property behind, because you're like, well, do we want to create a huge hedge right here? Or do we want to make sure that we can incorporate it and not have to remove things later on?
I guess I'm thinking more the trajectory from our house to the neighbor's house. I think that can be planted.
Sure.
We could at least plant those things. Yeah, where the lilacs are. But everything else, we could just hold off on.
Yeah. Anyway, we get a lot worked out during these recap videos.
Yeah, it's good. This is like a planning session for us.
Yeah, it was beneficial for us. Okay, next video. This could be a long one. Planting potatoes and moving pots. So I planted up all of our seed potatoes on the new property. I'm not sure how that's going to go. It ended up being 240 feet worth of potatoes. But the problem out there that I can see is that Aaron tilled, however deep that tiller goes, I don't know, on the tractor.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
I mean, it's like maybe 8 inches or 10 inches or something, and then you hit hard pan. And so these potatoes are going to have to grow laterally, or else I don't think they're going to be able to punch through that hard pan. And I know plants will surprise you sometimes, but I'm thinking that I don't even know what to expect. But I don't have any raised bed space, so I had no other choice. And I just use a lot of our own seed stock from last year. of the potatoes that are harvested from our raised beds, which is awesome. Like if we could keep ourselves in a cycle to where I'm not buying seed stuff, like we're gathering and saving things and not having to, like we're self-sufficient with that. And then moving pots. What do we move? What move?
Oh, the black pots?
Oh, yeah.
The ones that almost killed me?
Yeah.
Even if the whole thing fell on me, it wouldn't have crushed me.
You would have just broken my leg or
No,
something.
it wouldn't have
big
even
deal.
broken it. I mean, they were heavy.
So can we talk about forklift motions? Because I think what you were trying to tell me to move forward, right?
Yeah.
So you were going like this, and I took that as like, pick the bucket up.
Well, okay, actually, I'm not sure that we really got off. I think that you did the right thing. I think I just didn't have it positioned.
Or I did it too fast.
Well, maybe, but I didn't think I had it positioned properly on the bucket. So I think that was the problem. Because once I got it positioned on the bucket, it was just right on the edge to where it could
Like
teeter one way or the
weight
other.
On the,
Yeah.
Sure.
So
anyway, Mammy said, this is a top comment. I don't know which is sweeter, Benjamin singing with Laura or him saying I love you. There were a couple pretty sweet moments. Yeah. He loves I've been working on the railroad, so we sang that a lot. And then the song from Prince of Egypt.
Yeah.
The Hush Now, he calls it...
Hush My.
Hush My. I said, Mama, sing Hush My.
Yeah.
And then he just pops off randomly and says that he loves you every once in a while.
Yeah.
Like several times throughout the day.
And he'll say that you're a good mama,
Yeah,
too.
he does. Mama, you're a good mama.
Yeah.
You said that to your mom.
You know, he'll say, he won't really say that you're a good mama. He'll say you're doing a great job. Mama, you're doing a great job.
Mm-hmm.
He says that a lot.
Yeah. Oh, so sweet. I hope he stays that way forever. Nika said, where are those planters and obelisks from? Planters are from Crescent Garden. Obelisks are a custom job from somebody local that I got at my parents' garden center, and they are heavy. How much do you think those weigh?
They're pretty heavy duty.
They're heavy, like uncomfortable for me to carry.
That's like not a shippable item. I mean, you
No.
could have it shipped, but it'd be very expensive.
Venus said, where did you get those baskets that you store your potatoes in? Those are from my parents' garden center. There's some really cool potato baskets from Gardener Supply that I have 3 sets of that I use as well, but I use those for butternut squash and garlic this year. My potatoes, I had a little bit too many to fit in there, but they're great baskets as well. Carrie Ann said, anyone else wishing Aaron rode along on the bucket like Laura did on the forklift?
Don't take this the wrong way, but I don't think I would feel comfortable.
And I wouldn't either, not with me driving. I can drive a forklift all day. Like, I think I could win some forklift competitions. I think those exist.
They probably do.
Yeah. But tractor driving, I am not comfortable. It's like, it's opposite of what my brain tells me to do.
Yeah.
It's weird.
I feel comfortable with you driving, or with you riding on the forks when I'm driving.
Oh.
Because I feel very like secure and confident in where I'm going and what I'm doing. But I don't feel that same way when you're behind the wheel.
Leanne said, do you plant sweet potatoes? Yes, I've done sweet potatoes several times. I've grown them in raised beds down at the garden center a few times. I planted them the year before last, and I got like about a 50-pound harvest out of a couple raised beds. And then last year I planted them, and it was just junk because it was my fault. I bought the slips the first part of May because if you don't buy them right away, especially last year, like things were selling out so fast. But they stayed in their little plastic bag that I bought them in until almost the end of June. And they were like, some were black, some didn't even really like have a leaf on the top of them. And I thought, oh, well, I bought these things, so I may as well plant them. I got a few, like a handful, but it was kind of a junk crop for me. So anyway, I don't know how they would do out in the new property with that hard pan. I suppose I could try again. They're a beautiful vine. Rose said, did I miss it? What brand was your auger? Which one did I use? The tall black one was a power planter.
Yeah. Were they asking about the drill, though?
No. What brand was your auger?
Yeah.
Well, it was a DeWalt drill. The auger is, I don't know what size that one is, but it was wonderful because I didn't have to bend down.
You know, Power Planter has a really nice guide on their website.
Like your height?
That shows the height of...
Your
height.
Aaron?
But I think it shows like a 6-foot tall person, maybe. And then it shows how big they're going to be compared to you. Some of them are really nice to have long, so you don't have to bend over as far.
But you bought one that's even too tall for you.
Yeah.
Remember that one? What was that?
I think it was one of the tallest ones that you could get.
That was kind of awkward looking.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it does save your back for sure. Sherry said, do you have a rough date on when the driveway on your new property will be graveled in and ready to use? Well, we've been using it all up until now. The bottom layers have been done. It's just that top finished layer of gravel has not been done, and we were waiting because we knew we had to trench across it in three spots. It had huge trenches. In fact, Paul just covered over 2 of the spots so we could drive back over them. And the rest of the trenches are supposed to be filled in today.
A guy's coming right now.
Oh, he is coming right now. Oh, perfect. Well, we'll get this done quickly before all the beep, beep, beep starts of the backup of the machinery. Okay, next video is setting up a new fountain, and I have the spring nymph fountain from Unique Stone. We got it last year. It was like summertime when we got that load in, like late summer maybe. And we unboxed it, and couldn't really decide exactly where I wanted that fountain. And I'm kind of glad I waited because I think it's in the absolute perfect spot. Somebody's calling me. It's my brother. He can wait. Anyway, it's right by our kitchen entrance, and it's beautiful. I have not yet done the silicone beading to try to redirect water because it does splatter like pretty bad. But I have noticed so many birds. Our cats love to drink out of it, but I've never noticed that many birds out there, and I have enjoyed it so much. So even if it stays a bird bath, even if we decide not to run it because of the splatter problem, what I'll probably do is put like a hanging plant on the top and let it kind of cascade over the top, and then have the water down below, and it'll be beautiful. Top comment, for the love of Pete, focus on the beauty, a choice that would make each day so much better in this crazy world we live in today, which is so true, and I do myself need to be reminded of that on some days. Denise said, Laura, I just love how Aaron calls you a beast, knows you can manhandle anything. I was wondering if you've ever broken a bone or had an injury while you were gardening. I can't tell you the number of times I've broken a finger. I've never been injured gardening. The only bones I've ever broken are my 2 pinkies, separate occasions, both times catching a basketball. The basketball hit me in the pinky and broke my pinky. On two separate occasions. How weird is that? And I remember I was at a basketball camp when it happened once. And then they taped my 2 fingers together. My dad picked me up and I showed him, and he was like, oh, I think it's okay. It was like black. And I got home and my mom was all TO'd. She's like, are you kidding me? You brought her all the way home. So then we had to go back into the doctor, and they had to reset it because it had kind of like...
Oh, sure.
Oh. Yeah. Ouch-y. Fiona said, have you ever thought about running a 1/4-inch drip line up into the fountain?
Yeah. Have you ever thought about that, Laura?
He suggested that to me. And honestly, because I showed you how you can custom do a cork or your fountain plug to accommodate your pump plug-in cord, you could do 2 holes through the same stopper. And I think I'll do that, Aaron. The next time we actually take that fountain apart. I'm not willing to at this point because we finally got it up and running and it took several tries. So you could just drill a hole and then just run a drip tube right up through that stopper, right up into your bowl. It doesn't have to come that far out of there. And that would be perfect. And you could run it you could have a 2 gallon per hour emitter on one side. If you run your thing every day for an hour, you get 2 gallons of water in there. We run our drip every day through the hot part of summer, but we have to fill our fountains almost every day too. So it would be helpful. Diane said, ooh, did anyone notice the boxes of Gardener's Supply in the barn? Unboxing video next? Probably. I have some stuff, obviously, in there. Some stuff for the cut flower gardens, like some things to help protect some of my crops. There's a whole bunch of stuff in there. So yeah, I think at the beginning of another day full of projects, here comes the equipment right now. I wonder if they'll just start on that far end. That would be most helpful. Nope. Maybe. Anyway, I will probably unbox those for you guys. Clint says, how do you hide or bury your extension cord for the fountain? I have not figured it out for this one yet. I think what I will do is if I run that cord, which I just kind of dig away the soil and just bury it under the soil lightly, I will probably run it behind the fountain, back behind the fireplace, and then to our greenhouse area where the gazebo is now. It's just that all the power has been cut to that area right now until the greenhouse is in. But that's the only place that has a plug-in where I don't have to go over or under a sidewalk. But I think that'll work. But just for now, it's going over our sidewalk and it plugs into the side of our house, which isn't ideal, but there is a little sidewalk crack right there and I can kind of tuck it. I should probably run a piece of tape. I mean, the cord doesn't look any better. So like if I ran a piece of tape so Benjamin doesn't accidentally snag it, that'd be good. D Key said, what do you think? How long will that leveling last? Because mulch will probably decompose in some time. Maybe it would be longer lasting if it was directly on the ground. I'm not sure, just giving ideas. But you're absolutely right. I think it would be in every year when you get it set up for the spring. If you've got your fountain sitting on mulch that's irrigated around it, it's going to naturally settle. And so it'll make your fountain kind of settle as well. Typically what we've been doing is we dig out a little area and we put a gravel base down. I'm not really willing to do that for like this. I didn't know if I wanted it there. So it's kind of good to live with it if it's not a massive piece. This one is manageable enough for Aaron and I, so I didn't feel like I needed to make a permanent decision.
We could take it apart in like less than 20 minutes, you think?
Yeah. And so if we decide like this is the spot, then we'll dig out a spot like maybe this big, maybe like this big, because the base is like this. So just slightly wider than the base, and then we put a nice layer of gravel down, and that doesn't seem to settle. So anyway, I would think at this point, if you just leave it on top of the mulch like that, it would be a once a year when you set it up in the spring and get it running back again. You would probably want to set a level on there and make sure you don't need to like bolster it up on any side. Next video was unboxing dahlias and the heavy duty hose reels. So I had a box of dahlias from Eden Brothers that belong both to me and to my sister-in-law Nellie.
Did you buy those?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
They didn't send them?
No.
Okay.
No, Andy bought Nellie for Christmas, and I just tacked them on. Like I just did an order for him, and I got all excited and had to order a few for myself too. So, and heavy duty hose reels were from Ely, and they did send them out to us, and they're for the new cut flower garden area. So, Starla said, I'm loving the fact that Aaron participates on camera now. Remember way back when we knew he existed, sorta, but never really saw him or heard him peep out of him. You two are just adorable together. He will not come sit by me though. I try, you guys. I think what you're doing is great though. Like you participate a lot more, even in vlogs and stuff. Like you'll wear a mic now.
I feel like such a doofus on camera.
You're not a doofus.
Like a cotton-headed nitty muggins.
You called me a doofus last week.
No, I didn't call you a doofus.
You said not to act like a doofus.
No, I said something about like that's a doofus thing to do.
Well, it was in regards to something I was doing.
Yeah,
I haven't heard the word doofus in a really long time though.
That's like an indirect insult.
Yeah. Did I turn? Yes. I had a moment where I didn't know if I had turned my mic on. Anyway.
It's always best to insult someone indirectly, so it's like not quite as mean that way.
Anyway, he actually, like in your defense, Aaron, you used to say some weird stuff. Like I would have to start.
I'm telling you.
I would have to start takes over all the time because you would say something inappropriate or like something just like not you. It's like the camera brought out something weird in you. I'd be like, Aaron, what was that? So we'd have to start the takeover, and now you seem very comfortable. But we've both grown a lot. Like I look back at myself, it is painful.
Should we play a little clip of the very first video?
Please don't.
Okay.
Please don't do that. People can find it if they want to, but it's like super monotone. I was so nervous. It was so out of my comfort zone. And now I feel like I'm just talking to friends. It's weird, like the evolution of things. So anyway. Blakeland said, could you please share which brand of Quick Connects you use? We tried some from McCaster Car and they leaked. Do you use Gecka? So Eli sent one out. It was like the most heavy duty Quick Connect I've ever touched before. The bulk of our Quick Connects are Dram. They're like the brass.
Which I looked online and I am not sure that they still carry those. The brass ones.
Really?
It looks like they have a new one that is like an auto shut off Quick Connect. If you go to their website.
Oh, you get Dram Quick Connects on Amazon Prime.
Yeah, on Amazon. But those could just be resellers that still have stock. If you go to the Dram website and you look at the Quick Connects, they have a different style that has like a rubber fitting on it or a rubber seal around it.
Well, yeah, I see it.
And it looks like it's an auto shut off, which is handy, but it'd be interesting to try some of those. Yeah. They look cheaper to me. They don't look as nice as the brass. You know, we tried out, what was it? Was it Gilmore or was it Gorilla? We did a whole video on a comparison. Yeah, there was a few that worked really well, but so far those Dram brass ones have been really nice. Now we're just trying out this Ely one. It felt really good. Yeah, it felt really good. The Gecko ones, I think those have worked really good. I can't really remember. Those were last year. We have them on hoses. We haven't even drug hoses out. I actually have it on a list. Aaron and I went around the garden this weekend and made a huge list of stuff that we can all just be working on. Hey, bud.
And that was one of them. Get a hose out to each faucet and make sure there's a quick connect between the faucet and the hose. So we'll be utilizing Gecko and Dram.
HoseLink also has quick connects that we have on a bunch of the hoses out there.
They're pretty nice. They're plastic.
Yeah, they're plastic.
They're clunky.
They're a bit bulky.
Yeah.
I mean, they're much more bulky than the other ones, but they do serve the purpose.
And they're not leaking.
And they have some that have the valve on it, which is convenient.
And they stayed out all winter.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Joanna said, I just ordered a HoseLink because you love them so much. Are you not using them anymore? No, we're using them everywhere. We've got 5 out on the new property, and then we have 1, 2, 3 in the interior. And I'm slowly starting to like, whoa, there's just Russell hair. Whenever I pet him and then move my hand up, there's like a cloud of hair right here. It's probably getting all over my drink. I'm slowly like breaking down and thinking that maybe we should have those in I never really wanted them in the interior of our garden, like in our formal spaces, because it's like this big plastic shroud, and I just thought, well, a coiled up hose on the ground is a little bit easier to tuck away than this plastic thing.
In terms of aesthetics, it's out like 1 out of 10. It's like a 4. Or even a 3.
Yeah, aesthetically they're not awesome to look at, but they are so freaking awesome to use, and they're so practical, and not having to coil up a hose is so amazing that I'm almost like, well, maybe we should work on outfitting more spaces.
Sometimes practicality just outweighs
when you start doing
else.
stuff on this kind of scale and you've got a lot of projects going on, which I'm so thankful for. I mean, it's so fun to do, but you start thinking in practicality terms a lot more than before. Like in a small space in our smaller garden, I would have all kinds of things that were totally impractical, kind of a pain to work around, but it didn't matter because it was like you didn't have to do it very much.
Yeah, right.
So, Angela said, are these quick connects one that also shut off the water on the hoses when changing attachments?
No.
No. The Gecko one, or the Ely one rather?
No. But you
the Drams don't either.
The
Gecko ones
the
do.
new ones do. Well, but they're different kinds because Dram has some that do and some that don't. Gecko has some that do and some that don't. So it's not that all of them do. You have to be careful which one
we
you're
need to do
getting.
another lineup video and like just pull all of the junk out of our barn.
Yeah.
And just line up all the ones that we currently have and maybe order some of those new Dram ones.
Yeah, maybe.
And then, like, so you guys can see, we'll just try them all out for you. I mean, would
another
that be helpful?
comparison.
Let me know if that would be helpful, because we have done something similar in the past. But maybe if we showed you wands, too, like the wands we've used, the spray patterns, because some spray patterns are awesome and some are a little bit more, and sometimes the wand or the rose on the end breaks down faster and starts to leak than some other brands. So I don't know. Let us know if you'd like to see that. Bahamian Lily said about the ground hose guide, which is a great idea, by the way. When you lift out the rollerball hook when not in use, what do you use to plug the hole to prevent dirt from clogging it?
Nothing.
There was no plug or anything.
There's no plug. Yeah, you just...
We talked about that because that is an amazing feature that you can pull that ball thing out, because then you could mow over the top and it's not in your way. And I didn't even think about that in the video. You guys told me in the comment section, like, you could also pull it out to mow. So I'm guessing that if you pulled it out, you would not leave it out for very long. You'd do your business and then put it back down. But like out there with all the powdery dirt, I mean, I'm sure that thing would fill up eventually.
Right.
So I think it's kind of like our greenhouse. We've got some pins that hold our greenhouse's door shut. And they're in the ground, and they've kind of slowly filled up with pieces of gravel. And they are at a point where they almost need to come out of the ground so we can put either new ones in or clean the gravel out.
Right.
So, I don't know. I think maybe at some point you'll have to just pull it up. Rebecca said, this is a question for Erin. I have an in-ground sprinkler system. Is there a way to convert my garden zone to drip instead of sprinklers?
Yeah, sure. I wouldn't recommend doing both. I wouldn't do both drip and sprinklers on the same zone. If you're trying to convert a sprinkler zone, you need to cap all the sprinklers on that zone. You can just dig down to the pipe and tap into it and turn it into a drip zone.
Now, we've showed that in a video.
Probably. You can do a couple of things. You can either dig down to where one of the sprinklers are, and you can tie in, I mean, whatever types of fittings you find down there. You need to run to the hardware store and get those fittings to turn it into drip. But there's tons of adapters that'll help you do that. Or you can go down to the actual pipe and just cut into the pipe and bring that up, like tee into it and bring maybe it's like a 1 inch or a 1.25 inch line straight up, and then convert that to drip.
Easy.
Does that sound?
It sounds, if I were a person who didn't know what you were talking about, I'd be like, oh my
If you're
word.
a person who doesn't know what I'm talking about, I probably wouldn't tackle it.
Just hire. That's
Just
like a higher job.
Find somebody who knows a little bit about it, because they could probably bust it out in not that long.
That's how Aaron and I feel about some things. There are some things we will not tackle.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, because
there's a lot of things we won't tackle.
It's just not in our wheelhouse to tackle. Like, for example, the fence in the back of our new cut flower garden. It's simple, right? It's a 95-foot straight fence. First of all, we would have a big blown out fight over how to measure properly, and then we wouldn't dig the right depth. Our measurements would be all off. We would have different ideas on how to do things. Like, it'd have to be either your project or my project, and then we'd have to
the other person as a helper.
Yeah. Yeah, we can't both be leaders in that sort of situation, but we're just not gifted in that area, like the precision and the detail. And you guys will see, we just put up sweet pea supports. I don't want Paul to go out there and look at him, because I'm he's going to be aghast at how we did this, because we did an eyeball job. And I told Aaron, well, it doesn't really matter, because there's going to be vines that grow up over these things. You won't see them. And in that case, it's true. But yeah, we have no business doing a lot of things. And so if it really makes you uncomfortable, I would definitely hire somebody or talk with somebody who you know has done it, and then maybe watch what they do, and it'll start to make sense.
Yeah.
But anyway. Okay, next video is planting containers, Corydalis. I don't even know how to say that plant's name. That's why I didn't say it in the video. And a ton of cabbage, plus picking up special order of trees at the garden center. So I did a lot of things in that video. I didn't plan on going down to the garden center for trees, so that kind of threw my project a little bit. But I planted the containers on our back shade porch, because I did a sorry job of it earlier, and I needed to bolster them up a little bit. Planted a new perennial that I love with blue blooms. And then I planted a hedge of cabbage, so 32 heads of cabbage in the cut flower garden. And then my mom called and said, the trees came in, people are trying to buy them. It is super, super busy. You need to come down here and tag them or pick them up, one of the two. And so we ran down there to look at them, and I'm just so happy with what we got. It's so fun. Top comment was from Ray Double Bay. So sweet when Aaron said, I'm so happy, and shook his fist in the air. I felt that happiness too. It's nice.
I am happy.
Yeah. The infrastructure is being set up properly, and
It'll
we can
be so
easily water.
to get water anywhere we need it to be. Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's pretty awesome.
Really nice. Wanda said, where do you get your garden augers? I've got a few garden augers.
Didn't we answer this already?
No, where do you get them?
Oh.
I've got the couple from, let's see, I've got 2 or 3 from Proven Winners. They've got a couple of custom sizes that fit their size of plant cans, which is awesome, because we plant a lot of their white, 4.5 inch. So their white auger matches that size. And then I've got several from Power Planter. Mm-hmm.
Those are really the
maybe
only
that's
two.
it.
Yeah.
I've got some crappy ones from a long time ago that kind of I look at them, I'm like, why do I still have these? They'll bend.
Yeah.
So easy. 48 zones, I only have 1, and I'm thinking of adding 2 more. How on earth do you keep track of the schedules?
It's a lot, but also most of them are not tied into anything at this point. So most of it is just for future use, the vast majority.
Right.
We probably have, on the new property, less than 10 that are actually running right now.
Yeah.
And some of them do really small areas.
Mm-hmm. We're going to have 1 zone dedicated just for the fountain we put in the cut flower garden eventually. Yep. I don't think the fountain thing's going to happen this year, but eventually we'll have a drip going to that fountain, but it won't be connected to anything else. Dang it. No lip gloss when Russell's around. Stephanie said, any idea where or how her asparagus is doing that she started years ago? I wish it was still living somewhere. So I planted it in those raised beds that were in front of the potting shed, which is now the chicken coop. When Chad came to remove the old root cellar that was attached to the potting shed, we had to remove those raised beds. I didn't have time at that point to dig up all the asparagus. I didn't really have a spot to put them. We didn't own this property. I don't know where I would have put them, unless I would have given them away. The bummer about it is I already had 2 full seasons invested, and I was just gearing up to be able to start harvesting. Because you're supposed to, you plant the crowns. First year you don't harvest anything. Second year you can lightly harvest, and then the third year is when you can really start seeing lots of production. And they were dug up right before that happened. So that was a little bit of a bummer. I would like to start asparagus somewhere out here. In fact, we might put them, Aaron, somewhere near the raspberry beds. We're going to be putting in raspberry beds here in the next week or 2. I got my hands on half of the raspberries that I want. It'll be next year when I get the other half probably, but it would be nice to have a bed for asparagus as well. So, got to think about that too. There's so many things.
Yeah.
It would be nice to have more grapes too, and like do a really good job. We've got grapes in the back that bear like a beast. I never prune them ever. Like unless they're coming out onto the grass, those get kind of like shorn up, but I don't prune them properly at all. And I think there's a lot of dead in there, but they just bear huge clusters of grapes. They just love their life back there.
We should definitely put in the infrastructure for grapes.
Wouldn't that be pretty?
Yeah.
Where should we put that?
Well, can we just keep doing them in a line right there? Can we keep doing like several lines of raspberries, grapes, anything else?
My inclination is to, because you know how my parents look, it's so pretty, how their grapes look. That's kind of much the same. I mean, it's like the proper grape trellising. It'd be so pretty to have something on the other side of the cut flower garden.
Well, I think when the arbs are up, though, that'll be a really nice hedge.
Yeah, well, for sure. But there's just so much space.
And having grass over the other side would be really nice and cool. You're going to love it. You'll love it so much.
Margaret said, just curious, do you save the nursery pots your new plants come in to reuse, or do you just toss them? The camera just shut off right in the middle of my question. How rude. Anyway, so it's nice to have nursery containers like that are heavy duty, where if you want to give something to somebody, you've got some containers at the ready. Anyway, yeah, we try to reuse as many of them as possible. Actually, my parents will take them too, from us. not from everybody, but they take like our good strong ones, because when they do container displays, I remember using old pots, and we turn them upside down, and like there'd be a big glazed pot. You'd put a plastic pot inside, and then you could do the next size of glazed pot and so forth. So you'd have this beautiful stack of pottery. And we were always really low on pots like that, so they'll use some of them like that as well. Andy said, will you be lining your new excavated driveway in the new property with trees also like your entrance driveway? I don't think so.
Not lining like...
Not the same, not like...
Yeah, not formal lining. Mm-hmm. But we'll dot some trees in there.
Yeah, which I think in the end, it will pull, and I think because I really wanted to pull people straight in front of Versailles Garden. I like it when people enter that way. And so I think having that formal line of trees will just like naturally shoot traffic that direction, because the left side will seem a little bit more relaxed and a little, I don't know what people are going to do. And it really doesn't matter in the end. But I was thinking that the trees might draw that kind of interest and that movement forward. And last question, Vanessa said, hey, Laura's mom, I need that hat. Where is it from? It's a Tula brand hat. They carry them down at the garden center. She's worn that hat for years. And you guys, I think that's it for today's video. We actually have enough time, Erin and I, to run outside. I think we may even try to film it. We're going to try to figure out exactly where, I don't know how we're going to do that with the beeping out there, but we might try. We're going to figure out exactly where all of our pathways are going to be on the new property, so that we can actually get an auger maybe this week and get all the trees planted. It might take us a couple of days, but get them all in the ground so that we can start running drip and not have to hand water them anymore. There are a few right now that we have to water with a bucket, which is kind of a pain, especially with how much wind that happens out there. Anyway, that'll be really exciting, I think, to go figure that out. So hope you guys are all having a great day. Have a really great week, and we will see you in the next video.